That was my last chip I can cash in on him, I think. So, all right. Next up is from Stephanie DeVito from Merit. Want to have her come up? Give her a hand.
Good morning, everybody. So my name is Stephanie DeVito. I'm a full-time counselor at Merit, and I'm here because I am one of those people who, when Scott asks for volunteers, I feel guilty when no one responds, so finally I respond. So I'm here to talk about guided pathways. And the reason I got involved with guided pathways is I wanted to solve problems. So in my role as an academic counselor, I witnessed firsthand how much difficulty students frequently go through just trying to apply and enroll. It takes a great amount of determination just to get through our glitchy system. So I thought, well, maybe there's a way to address this through guided pathways. And one of the questions I often get from people is, well, what is guided pathways exactly? And I think of it as grout. Okay, so the purpose of grout is to hold up your bathroom tiles, right? Now, if you think of all of the programs and services at your colleges as bathroom tiles, each one of them is a bathroom tile. I don't know about you, but at Merit, all of our tiles are in a bucket. And so our students have to go through this bucket trying to find the tiles that work for them. Guided pathways is the grout that will hold those tiles up so that students can more easily see what it is they're trying to do and what it's going to take for them to finish. I also realized that AB 705 and the new student-centered funding formula and guided pathways all go together, okay? AB 705 and the funding formula, those are the mandates. Guided pathways is the method that we are using to build capacity within our colleges so that we can actually succeed with AB 705 and the student-centered funding formula. One thing to know is you're probably doing guided pathways already. Anytime you have a conversation with someone who's not in your department or not in your division to solve a problem, you're doing guided pathways. So part of it is just recognizing that it's happening and knowing that we're trying to scale it up, okay? Thank you. So from the State Chancellor's Office, they have come up with this idea of guided pathways in terms of pillars. There are 4 pillars of guided pathways, and each pillar represents one phase of the student experience. So pillar 1 is called clarifying the path, and that means making it clear to students on our website, in our catalog, in all of our materials, what are our majors? What jobs can they get if they get that major? What classes do they need to complete that major? How long will it take? All of that falls into pillar 1, clarify the path. Pillar 2 is entering the path. This is all of our onboarding activities, all of the stuff with applying, enrolling, getting that initial advisement, going to a welcome center to help actually set up your schedule. So anything having to do with onboarding belongs in pillar 2. Pillar 3, which is stay on the path, this is for those of you who are into problem solving, into retention. Staying on the path has to do with what do we do to support the students who are having a hard time, are at risk of dropping out, are not doing well. So anything, embedded tutors, for example, your learning center, Starfish, Early Alert, all of those kinds of activities are part of the 3rd pillar, staying on the path. And finally, the 4th pillar is ensure learning. And this has to do with pedagogy and assessment. So any activities that you're doing where you are trying to improve the ability of your students to get through the work you're giving them successfully, assessing to make sure that they actually learned something. All of that goes under Pillar 4. So that's really what Guided Pathways is. And one of the things I like about this is that this is one example of a time when the state did not try to shove something down our throat. They said, here are some ideas. You all figure it out yourselves at each of your colleges. And what's nice about that is that, personally, I don't like having things shoved down my throat. I want to be part of the team that comes up with the solutions. So getting involved with Guided Pathways on your campuses is one way to do that. Let's see. Could you go to the next slide? So I wanted to show you, this is just how we organized Guided Pathways at Merit. You can do your own thing, but we found that this is what worked for us. We have a core team, and it's really important that your Guided Pathways leadership is representative. So we have an administrative lead, a classified lead, a faculty lead, and a research lead. And it's important to bring all of those perspectives into the room when we're trying to solve a particular problem. And then we created pillar teams with leads for each pillar. And what we did is Pillar 1, as you know, is about clarifying the path. So our leader for Pillar 1 is Neem Tai, who is our librarian. He's also chair of the curriculum committee. So he is in charge of Pillar 1 activities, and one of the really smart things he's done is he realized we need to embed the work of Guided Pathways into our existing shared governance structure. We don't want to create yet another bunch of committees, because I don't know about you, but I'm on too many committees already. So what he does is he takes the philosophy of Guided Pathways and infuses his curriculum committee work with that philosophy. He's in charge of revamping our entire catalog. Well, that fits right into Pillar 1. Our Pillar 2 lead, Mary Sidio, is a counselor and instructor in disability services. Our Pillar 3 lead, Lowell Bennett, is a student at Merit. He's a tutor at Merit, and he's faculty in the Learning Center. And our Pillar 4 lead, John Rodriguez, is succeeding Heather Casali from last year. Each of them is a full-time instructor. One of the other things that we found really helpful is get on your team, faculty and staff who used to be students, because that's like a 2-for-1. They can explain from a student perspective how a particular program or procedure affects them, and they also understand it from the staff and faculty side. So that has been a great asset for us. One of the other things that's really important is making space to do this work. And so all of these positions either come with release time, overtime for classified professionals, or stipends. Because, frankly, I could not have been involved if I wasn't given release time. You have to take something off the plate to make room for other work. And so Guided Pathways is a 5-year grant. We're currently going into year 3. You have 5 years to kind of plan how your institution is going to revamp itself to be more student-friendly. So use those monies to make space for this work among the people who are doing it on your campuses. I'm going to give you just a couple examples of some of the Guided Pathways activities that we've been involved in. And Guided Pathways comes with a whole bunch of what they call key elements. The key element that I like the most is called cross-functional inquiry. And basically that just means talking to other people, not solving things in a silo. Because often we'll come up with great ideas by ourselves and then find that they don't work because we didn't consult with financial aid, or we didn't consult with admissions and records. And so this, whatever this great program or process is, doesn't actually work because we didn't talk to all the people who are going to be involved in implementing it. So for example, simple example, our nutrition chair, Heather Casale, was teaching and noticed that her students were having a really hard time with writing. And so she went to the English department and collaborated with one of our English professors and said, how can I tweak this assignment? What can I do to help my students write better? And so the English instructor and she changed the assignments together, and voila, her students' writing skills improved dramatically. And that's because she didn't try to solve the problem herself. She applied guided pathways principles to this problem and went and solved it with a colleague. So that's an example of cross-functional inquiry. Another example is, as you guys know, AB 705 says we've got to get our students through transfer level English and math in a year. And so we've all, on all our campuses, we've been trying to figure out, how do we do that? How do we maximize the chances for success? So a lot, at Merit, our English and math faculty came up with a great idea. We're going to take that 4-unit statistics and add to it a 2-unit helper class. We're going to take that 4-unit English 1A and add a 2-unit helper class. Then they applied cross-functional inquiry and talked to financial aid. You guys know what satisfactory academic progress is? What percentage of your units do you have to pass in order to stay in good graces with financial aid? 66%. So if you're taking a 4-unit math with a 2-unit helper class, that's 6 of your 12-unit load. If you bomb that, you are now in trouble with financial aid, which means that the solution that you might have come up with to solve this problem of getting people through math has an unintended consequence of students dropping out because now they don't have financial aid. So the fact that our faculty spoke with the financial aid folks enabled them to come up with a better solution. Other ideas. Could we make the 2 units non-credit? Could we make it so that they pass the 2-unit helper class even if they fail the math, the 4-unit class? So that's an example of the ways we can work with each other, okay? And I think I'm out of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie, for sharing Merit's work. This is the book that actually kind of started the Guided Pathways, Redesigning America's Community Colleges. And Merit actually did a book group that looked at the research to kind of think about it more deeply. Last, I want to invite up Lainey's team, Elena Gassis and Susan Timroth Zavala. So come on up.
Hello, good morning. Eleni and I are co-coordinators of Guided Pathways work at Laney. And we're supposed to keep this really short, so I'm trying to do that. Am I not, okay, aiming it wrong, okay, sorry. Anyway, we did things a little bit differently from what you've already heard. And one of the things that we did is we started with a work group, and it was a cross-functional work group. We had faculty, administrators, classified professionals in our work group. We decided at the very beginning that we didn't want to make assumptions about our students' experiences. And so we spent last year doing a student voices inquiry. We made teams to do focus groups. We did online surveys for students. We did paper surveys in classes. We had a lot of faculty members helping us do that. We really wanted our work to be rooted in student voices, and we really wanted to find out what our students were experiencing at Laney and what they needed. What was working for them, what wasn't working for them. So hearing from students was our big project. And we learned a lot from our students. Several things that we learned that we thought stood out were we have mostly part-time students at Laney. We also have a large population of older students, sorry, this thing. A large population of older students and who work and have family responsibilities, and getting to school is hard for them. They stated that they needed to come to class at night. It was an effort for them to get there at night. There were few services for them available, and if they were going to come at night, they wanted to be able to double up and have a double night schedule so that they could take a class at 6 and another class at 8 and get finished sooner, because that is the population that we have at Laney. All of their responsibilities that they have during the day made them they told us they needed much more flexibility with their schedule. They needed to be able to come when they could come. So that was one thing that we learned. So the idea of having more night offerings for students, and the idea of allowing them to double up so they could take more than one class at a time at night. This thing. Sorry, everybody. So that was one of the biggest things that we learned from our students. The other really big salient piece of information that came out was communication. Students stated over and over again that they needed multiple modalities for communication. They weren't checking their Peralta email. They wanted texts. They knew there was a course catalog. Nobody read it. So they wanted information coming to them from different sources, but the information would be the same. So they could depend on what they heard. So these are oh wow, that's better. So we really wanted to know who our students were. We felt there was a real danger in making assumptions about our students without actually hearing from them. So that is what we decided to do.
Okay, hi everybody. My name is Eleni Gassis. I'm the co-coordinator with Susan. And we'll just talk a little bit more too. We had some lessons, so not only what we learned from our students, but also what we learned about ourselves through this process. So some of our big takeaways, which I think will also help propel you in your own work at your own colleges, are some things to consider. So assuming is harmful for everyone, both for the students. When we make assumptions about our students, it doesn't help us plan around what their needs are. Also, another dangerous assumption is when we make assumptions about each other. So our colleagues as well, and what our jobs are and how we perform our jobs. And of course, that can bring up a lot of fear and insecurity. Pushback is not indicative of our end game. So it is indicative of where folks are in the current process. So we tried not to feel frustrated when we did have some pushback or some setbacks in our process. And we're trying to keep ourselves motivated with this ultimate kind of end game that our students will have a continuously better experience with us at our college, and we're just doing the work. Communication is key and must be in multiple modalities. So not only for students, but also for faculty, for classified professionals. We all know those people at our campus that don't check their email, right? Or maybe they use 2 or 3 different emails. So we're trying to think about other effective ways to communicate with folks where we can capture their attention and inform them about the work that we're doing. And of course, change is overwhelming for everyone, and persistence is really key. We have a couple other questions here, and these are more general things that we'd like to think of, kind of guiding principles and questions for your own work at your colleges. So first of all, how do we build a culture of inquiry that is rooted in student voices and our own self-reflection? So how are we checking in with what our students are saying? How are we checking in with our own processes? How are we evaluating ourselves? How are we figuring out when something isn't working, how we can improve it continuously? How do we bring different constituencies together for a shared outcome? So not leaving anybody out, making everybody have a say, be a stakeholder in this work. How do we define our identity, mission, and values as an institution that serves students? How do we use this identity to create an inclusive environment for everyone? Probably one of the more important considerations. And last but not least, how can we continuously inform our community of our progress? So communication has come up as a very common thread in all of our guided pathways work. It's one of our biggest goals for the coming year for our guided pathways work, and just consistently reimagining how we can keep people informed of what we're doing and also being available to answer their questions and support them in this very difficult change process. So we won't keep you too much longer. I think that's pretty much it for us, but a little bit about our journey and some things for you to consider in your own work. Thank you very much.
As I'm going to call Tim up to give the president's address, and as he makes his way to the stage, just a few reflections. Obviously, guided pathways is one of those words that we respond to. It's a state initiative that we can feel like something is being imposed upon us, but we can also take a step and kind of figure out a way that we can use the funding and the work to build what we want. So I think there's an opportunity there to do that. So last up, and I'll do some highlights afterwards, but I'm going to invite Tim Karras, the president of COA here. He graciously said, come on over. It'll be very easy. He gave me the tour himself, like showed me the rooms, and we tried to figure out the tech. So he really helped get this set up, and I want to bring him in to kind of kick off the year for us. So can you give a hand to Tim, please?
Well, thank you very much. I'm going to do two things this morning, just a general welcome, and then I do have a very brief statement in my pocket from Chancellor White, which I'll probably just read at some point, and I'll put that right there for a second. So first and foremost, just I'm so happy to see everyone here on the island, and welcome to COA if you don't currently work at COA, and if you do, welcome too, I guess, back to your college. I'm so excited to have you here. You know, I'm doing great right now. I've had 3 cups of coffees and 2 lifesavers, so I am like set for all day. You know, I've had sugar and caffeine. I just really want to say having you all here today and the process over the last week, because we've had to make some pivots and be flexible over the last week, working with Scott and everyone, it really shows the best of who we are as a district and at all of our college and all of our sites, how something comes up and we just adapt and it's fine. You know, we have something beautiful, we have food, we have a place to meet, you know, the sky didn't fall. Yeah, it's great. And it was a lot of work by a lot of people like Scott, people at the district office, people at Laney, people at COA, cross-functional. You had all the IT people having to talk to each other, custodial, M&O, you know, who put all this on. You know, I had really the easy part saying, oh, sure, come to COA, you know, look at the pit. You know, this is what we call this area, so it's not a derogatory term. It's whatever weird term we use at COA for this room. It's called the pit. And it all worked out great. And maybe this will give us inspiration for the future of how we do flex in our district. So if we're the first one to do that, that is great, and we're so happy to have you here. Also, after I'm done talking to you, you'll be doing the main part. I think what everyone's really interested in is your learning opportunities and your breakout sessions. Most of them, I believe, or I'll make this up, is in the C&D building, which is kind of that direction for you. And then our mnemonic on our campus is not too complicated, is if your room starts with a 2, you're on the 2nd floor. If your room starts with a 1, you're on the 1st floor. And if your room happens to be starting with a 3, you're on the 3rd floor. So that's the mnemonic for our buildings. So we hear that a lot from students, so I just figured I'd just tell all of you because we're all students all the time. So just really welcome to COA. We're so happy to have you. I think this is going to be a great year. You know, I think every year is going to be a great year. For COA, if you don't know, we have a building going up next door. So, you know, that is my bliss every day coming through the tube and seeing that. And for folks to know what that building is, it's a replacement building for C&D. So that was originally part of Measure A. A lot of people remember we passed Measure A probably like a decade ago. Well, this is Measure A. This is our final project of Measure A being put out there, and we'll have a wonderful new facility, which apparel design will be on the 3rd floor, and our art department will be in there also. So we'll have some really great space for teaching and learning. We're super interested in having something that's built post-1972 on campus. So that's all great. I won't hold you much more. Now I'm going to do I don't know how I can really do this. I'm clever. I was an instructor and a faculty member. I should be able to read and have a microphone. Chancellor White, of course, can't be here today because I'm not Chancellor White. If you didn't realize who I was, sorry, I'm Tim Karras. I'm the president of COA. I'm not Chancellor White. We're different in many ways, and I'll let you figure that out, all of our differences. So her statement, I'll just try to read it, because usually I would just go off the cuff and summarize what she says and make it my own, but well, she's only my boss, so, like, the worst she can do is, well, fire me. But anyways, it says, "Dear colleagues, I am disappointed to be pulled away from attending opening Flex Day activities due to an unexpected and critical district matter. I am very much looking forward to spending some time in community with all of you and sharing important updates on the fiscal health and progress of the district." So that will be forthcoming. "As part of my commitment to accountability, transparency, and trust building for Peralta, I'm working with each college president, and I'm one of the 4. The others are around, so you can find your college president, say hi, to host forums at each of the colleges to discuss the FICMAT, CBT, and ACCJC reports that we all received at the end of June." That was a lovely end of summer experience. So I do also make my own comments, even with someone else's comments. The schedule of these campus meetings about the district's plans to address the recommendations in the 3 reports will be sent out very soon. Yes. In the meantime, I invite you to review the reports, and so you're aware of what's being asked of the district. And they're all posted online. If you go to the district website and you go to the marketing PIO section of our district website, all 3 reports are there. It's fabulous reading, let me tell you. Just great. Hours of enjoyment. And so lastly, in her paragraph, not mine, "I look forward to your attendance and participation in this journey to fiscal health, and thank you very much for the attention to these important matters. Your commitment to Peralta is vital, and you have the gratitude and appreciation for all you do with us." So that is from Chancellor White, and I wholeheartedly, in the whole gratitude thing, thank you very much also, because it does take everyone collectively together working on all of our problems to get to the end and finish line. Hey, Joseph, now it's Q&A time. Yes, I have a link, and it's on the PIO page, because if I can tell by the link that's written here, yeah, we'll send it out. It's on the public information web page. So it says /public info. So I assume that is the public information officer's website. I did not look this morning, to tell you the truth. Yeah, no, well, it's not really Q&A time, but I'm used to that. But what I'm going to do now is, I know Scott's like, "Tim, get out of here," is let you all take a few minutes before you go to your breakout sessions. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day here at COA and seeing all your colleagues and having a great lunch. And then tomorrow, for all our Laney friends, we look forward to seeing you again here tomorrow, because we're having like a slumber party over here at COA on the island. So it's really cool, and it's great, and we love having you here. So if you need anything and you get lost, just ask any employee at COA, and we'll do the best to direct you somewhere. All right? Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Last little bit of information, just housekeeping. Late morning, lunchtime, afternoon, 2 afternoon sessions. They're in the program. Please make sure you get it. There's some room changes that are not in the printed program. So the business discipline meeting is in D207, library is in C211, math is in A202. Those are the discipline meetings at lunch. The library discussion 215 will be in D206. Evaluation of this morning session can be done online through the QR code or the link that I have in the packet. Lunch will be served in your area meetings. Post your values in that Padlet document, and I'll post that up in a second. And COA's Fab Lab will be open from 12 to 3. So let's take a real quick at the so we have a list of things here that are coming in, and please remember you can post your values there. And I think, is that it? Oh shoot. And that is it. So we ended at 10:39 with 6 minutes to spare. The next workshop starts at 11. Stretch, hang out with each other, finish the food if they haven't already cleaned it up, and have a great day in beginning your semester. Thank you, everyone.